if you've been following this channel, you'd know that normally I talk a lot about camera gear and editing and tutorials and sometimes vlogging some of the work I do, but this time it's a bit different. I went to Egypt, so obviously to tie it back into the channel. So we stayed at the V Luxury in Hurghada, which was actually quite a budget hotel. I wasn't looking to spend a crazy amount because I'm hopefully planning on doing a big trip possibly in the near future. I think me and the wife just wanted a small getaway, and I found this hotel online, spoke to a travel agent. He actually found me an even better deal, and it worked out around £50 a night, which when he told me it was a resort with food included, transport included, a bunch of other things included. Food was like fully loaded, you know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffees, desserts, late night. Absolutely everything, even drinks were just unlimited. You could just keep getting your fridge stocked up in your room, which was a nice surprise. For the price it was, I think having everything included was actually really almost unbelievable. I don't know how they made it so affordable. But when I got to the hotel, I kind of realized where they were cutting corners. Let's skip ahead and go to Luxor. So our Luxor trip actually happened quite spontaneous. We just spoke to the travel guide that was at the hotel and asked him what is there to be done around Hurghada, and he suggested Luxor. Now they obviously had bus trips, they had minibus trips, and they also had a private car trip because my wife was pregnant at the time, and I knew her getting onto a bus, stopping over, and being stuck on a tight schedule on the bus was going to be extremely difficult. I thought, let me make things a bit easier, and then when I actually saw the price for the private, it was only about £50 more. Again, this was also including everything: transport to Luxor, a ticket entrance for all the different museums, food included as well, transport back, a tour guide, a driver, and it all came in to about £150 per person, about £100 more than if we were to go on the bus. But like I said, it would have been in a situation where if I needed to get back to the hotel, I would have been stuck in Luxor, which is about 3 hours drive from Hurghada, which I wasn't preparing to risk. And surprisingly, it wasn't too much more different than having the bus trip. I guess because it was just me and my wife, it was a lot more affordable. If I can imagine, if you were there with family and kids and you had a larger group, taking a car would be just too expensive, and you're probably better off taking the bus. Yeah, I guess it worked out for us. So this was the eye-opener. When we actually got into the car, it was super early in the morning, probably around 6 o'clock. We were planning to get to Luxor around 9, so it's like a 3-hour drive. We turned up to the motorway, and it was like all these buses, cars waiting around, and the driver was just like, yeah, we're gonna get a police escort to Luxor. That was just a bizarre thing that I've never really heard of before. Apparently it's to do with the safety of tourists traveling at night in Egypt. Can be quite dangerous. When I asked him about that, he did say there's never been an incident in the last so many years. So he goes, it is a bit unnecessary, but it's just one of those customs where it's kind of stuck around from back in the days. So it was all for it. It was a nice little experience getting a police escort for 3 hours on a motorway earlier in the morning that I slept through mostly. And then we finally arrived to our first destination. So our first destination was a place called Karnak. It was quite surprising at how large this place was. And one thing that, just looking at it, you have all these huge kind of monuments, these temples, buildings, and you kind of have to try to differentiate what's real and what's been repurposed or rebuilt, kind of filled in the gaps, because you can imagine archaeologists finding these bricks, putting them together, having missing bricks because they've been destroyed in the process. And so here we have a sphinx, so it's like a statue of a lion kind of thing sitting here, and you can see the parts that are real, and then you can also see where there's cement that's been filled in the gaps. So you're constantly just looking out all the pillars, all the walls, all the hieroglyphics, all the markings on the wall, and just seeing where there's cement filled in patches and where there's authentic, real Egyptian history. Seeing all the hieroglyphics like all carved into the walls and stuff, it was so cool. Actually being able to touch them, see them, like you can even see from like, I think there was a few markings from like the 1800s of like people discovering it and like marking in their names and stuff. So I guess it's all part of the history there. These pillars were just huge and quite crazy, to be honest with you. You can also see where the paint has faded off near the bottom, but if you go towards the top of the pillars, you can see where originally a lot of these buildings were painted in blues and yellows. So once the tour was over, we kind of snuck around the back where they were still excavating like loads of stuff, and you can see here there's these kind of laid out places where there's just bricks. Maybe it's stuff that they haven't quite figured out where it goes in the puzzle yet. And just to think that Egyptologists and historians have been at this place for how many years trying to piece this together, you come to a site like this where they are still digging, they're still finding things, and they still have so many answers. So I think just seeing it like this is crazy. But we ended up on the River Nile, which was really cool. Now there was the option to take a car around over the bridge, but we said, you know, we've come all the way to Egypt, we want to go on the River Nile. And I think another crazy thing is once we got into the River Nile, is we started to realize how crazy Egypt is when it comes to, or Luxor, the city, is when it comes to these historical buildings. You always think of Cairo as a place where people have so many pyramids and historical temples and buildings and tombs, but the truth is, from what I can see, they look like Luxor had a lot more and a lot more undiscovered things. We were looking at just streets and streets and streets of history. Like there was just normal shops, normal business, normal roads, and you know, you're going down the river and you're just seeing temples and random statues and, you know, all sorts of monuments just absolutely everywhere, which was like the quite surprising part of, you know, people think of Cairo, but it turns out Luxor has these amazing sites. We'll also learn later on about some of the mummies that were found here, and it turns out a lot of the more famous ones were actually in Luxor, not in Cairo. They were just moved there later on, so we later see a lot of their tombs, especially Ramses, which is like a really major king back in the day. So seeing his tomb without his body in it was a bit weird, but we'd have to go to Cairo next time to see his actual sarcophagus, or however you pronounce that. Let's just call him Mummy for now. So the guide actually took us drove us past this area here, and he was like, hey, look at those houses, you think these guys are poor? Turns out these guys are minted, apparently, according to him. And you can kind of see underneath the houses and in the mountain there's loads of these kind of tunnels and holes, and that's because there's a lot more history down there. There's a lot more treasure, gold, mummies, history, you know, archaeologist stones. So here, the further out we move from Luxor, we're seeing again more temples, more ruins, more bricks, and we then arrive to the Batori Temple, I believe it's called. And this is an amazing recreation, by the way. This is not an original. Now, if you look closely, there is a lot of original bits in there, but I wouldn't say it's an original, and I'd rather call it a recreation, because I'd say about 70% of it was like recasted. And you can see like even the Sphinx, there's like a few little stones in there that are probably original, and the rest of it is just like recasted. And then we're looking at these pillars here, they're all just, you know, concrete molds, they're not real. Only if you look closely at the bottom of each one, you can see a few bricks where there's some original bricks. And as you come close as well, you can see all these little statues in front of each pillar. Majority of them are missing. The wood was probably the most exciting one, because if you don't know about the Valley of the Kings, here's a little history lesson. Pyramids were built, pyramids were then looted. Kings were like, we don't want pyramids anymore. However, we would like something like a pyramid. So they would find mountains that were shaped like pyramids, and they would put the tombs in the mountains, hide away the tombs, and hopefully nobody finds them. Unfortunately for them, we did find them, and we are now turning them into open museums where you can just buy a ticket at the ticket booth, take a little car into the mountains, and they've built like nice little hooks. They built nice little entrances for us to walk Now, what's crazy is when you look at the map or the 3D mold at the entrance, you can see these tunnels and how deep they go. But when you actually get there and you actually walk through the tunnels, they don't actually seem that far. I thought I would have been walking underground for like a long time. It felt like it was only like 20-30 meters down and then you're into a tomb. But the tombs were highly decorated. They looked awesome. It's just a shame that there's no treasures there or there's no mummies there or nothing. They're just empty tombs. You can kind of see underneath the rocks, there's like footprints underneath. So that's probably archaeologists when they were down there back in the days, and they've just left their footmarks there. And you can see these little, naughty archaeologists writing their names. February 5th, 1848, I believe. I can't really see behind the pillar there. So from all the tombs, the one that I went into was like completely empty, and I was alone. I had all the time in the world to take my photos, and it was a bit freaky, I'll be honest with you, being in a tomb. You don't know what curses could be lurking down there, but I think the guy at the entrance was just nice enough to take a few photos with me, and then we headed out, and that was Luxor pretty much. Oh, actually one thing, we went off to the side into this kind of off-road area, and the guy was showing me how there's still, if I can see closely, one of the famous tombs is actually down there. So there's so many more tombs that were like completely locked off for the public, but it's one of them where maybe they'll make it public one day. So we headed back to the hotel. The rest of our time here was just spent at the resort. Like I mentioned, my missus was pregnant, so I think I wanted to treat her to some place where there was nice desserts, nice food. The hotel was included everything. The kitchen was always open. Apart from the food that was offered, the actual resort was really nice as well. It does look better in photos and videos. I must admit, the quality isn't amazing. Let's bring it back to the Osmo Pocket 3 and the camera. And would I recommend it? I would more than recommend it. What it is about this camera is, whether you're vlogging, whether it's a family trip, whether you just want it for yourself, this thing is just perfect. Like, I can't imagine a better camera to carry along, especially when you're traveling. Let's say you've got kids and you want to make a little home film just for, memory's sake. It doesn't even need to be for you. Even if it's for YouTube, even better. You've got yourself a 4K little pocket cinema camera, shoot in, you can pull it out whenever you want, and it just makes vlogging so much easier. I don't think I would have got as much footage as I have if it was for having a small little camera in my pocket. But like I said, even if it's just for yourself and your family and your kids and just for memory's sake, having the camera ready available, the mic that comes with it is also a massive plus. Like, the iPhone could never beat with the audio quality. You really want nice quality with these cameras, and I think this camera is a must buy. And I think now with the Pocket 4 out, I would say just buy a used Pocket 3. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe, especially subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers very soon, and I want to give a shout out to my editor as well. If you need a great editor, make sure you message me. He edits my vlogs for me, and I will pass you on his details. So let me know and I'll let you know. I'll see you in the next one.